She's my wife. She's my wife.
But in this world, she isn't.
Welcome to Decoding TV's coverage of Dark Matter Season 1, Episode 5. I'm David Chen here with Patrick Klepek. We're rewatching every episode of the first season in the lead up to Dark Matter Season 2 at the end of August on Apple TV. This episode is called Worldless, and in this episode, Jason and Amanda explore some other worlds via the box and find out more about how it works. Patrick Klepek, overall, what'd you think of the episode?
I like set myself up for this episode, which was I had a comment in the previous episode that was like, even if you think you can get to your world,
That's right.
can you get to that world? And
Yeah,
we'll see.
yeah.
They're honing in, but it was, one of the things I've really liked about this show is that it feels like you're just barely ahead or in lockstep with the characters in terms of the world, the possibility space. And so the fact that I was like, I love how you feel like you're just walking in lockstep with the show.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be neat to find out, can they actually get back to that world, or is it they're just going to get really close? And then the show's like, well, what if
Funny
we
you
just do
ask.
Funny you
Funny you
ask,
should ask.
Patrick, because we're going to do exactly that in this episode. And so big sci-fi concepts are a lot of fun to think of in the infinite space, and then the best ones capture something deeply personal. And so I love the fact that in this episode, we begin fixating on like dialing in on different ways that our subconscious fears and anxieties would manifest
Right.
if we had the ability to visit them, even if we don't want to, which is, how the one's subconscious and their underlying anxieties work. So again, like a great episode that really takes this concept and like drives into a degree that a film couldn't. Like you could do a film version of this book. I feel like it's possible. It'd be fun. It'd be interesting, but it wouldn't be this nuanced. And so I really love how much the show is luxuriating in the what if of the box itself and the multiverse in a way that, especially contrasted to some other multiverse storytelling that has happened in pop culture in the last 10 years, doesn't nearly take as much advantage of.
Yeah, I gotta say, rewatching this one now, I was like, this TV show is good. It was a good idea to rewatch the show. I was a big fan of this one as well. It reminded me a lot of the Fox original series Sliders. Did you ever watch that show,
right.
Sliders,
Yeah,
starring
sure.
Jerry O'Connell? Back in the day, decades ago, Fox was really into like sci-fi. They would release shows like The X-Files and Mantis and Strange Luck and Sliders, where basically Jerry O'Connell and some friends would use a remote, like a TV remote, and they would zap open a portal that would take them to an alternate universe. And that's essentially what this did, but with this added heft of, hey, like, if you were in this situation and you were the box pilot, like, could you actually get to the point where you could get home? Good question. That's the question that this episode asks. Let's talk about some of the stuff that happens during the episode. Reading here from the Wikipedia plot summary, Jason number 1 and Amanda enter a world where Blair from Jason number 2 / Amanda's world, a lab employee who went missing after volunteer to enter the box months before, resides, end quote. That's a really complicated sentence, but to be clear, right? From Amanda and Jason 2's world, their version of Blair also left in the box. So like Jason 2 and Blair 2, they both left. And Jason ended up sleeping with Jennifer Connelly, and Blair ended up in the gigantic wasp world. So
when you spin a wheel, that's just not. I mean, there's many of them so far in the show that you don't want to end up in, but
yeah.
This one is particularly upsetting.
Yes. Well, apparently, what happens in this world is like the Blair from that world, Blair 3, came back and brought all these big wasps with her, is what I understand.
Right, which I think is the first time we've had people walking between worlds.
Right.
But this is the first instance where they're demonstrating like organic mat, like
Sure.
a creature coming through and like causing havoc. Sorry, I missed this in watching it, but do they just happen to end up in her world? Like, how do they end up in her world?
I don't recall exactly what it was. I mean, first of all, they started off by entering in the the flooding world, right?
which was sick.
Yeah, and like I don't really know exactly how that all makes sense because again, when they're in the box, they're and it opens up to all these corridors. It's a manifestation in their brain, but that's not actually the physical arrangement in the box. So how the water, if the water gets in there, how does it like anyway, whatever. We don't need to think too much about that.
I also like they seem to just sort of end up in this Blair's world. They don't like they're not.
I think they're trying to get home. And so they get to a version of their world that has Velocity Labs and the cube is in the thing, so it's like, because they've tried to enter multiple versions of Chicago in this world, right? The versions of Chicago they enter are kind of like more recognizably our world than they were in the last episode.
If there was a dial, they're like they're
getting closer and closer, right? And so one of the instantiations of it was, hey, the person that we lost from our world. Also, we see Jason. Shocking at the end of the episode, Jason 2 goes back to Jason 2's world for like 5 seconds, right?
Hustle. He just goes in to grab a backpack full of the chemicals and the drugs that just gets out is very funny.
Despite living in a dangerous world, Blair does not want to risk returning to the box until she is ready, believing it is nearly impossible to navigate the corridor. She also cautions Amanda to figure out her own path forward while aiding Jason number 1 in his quest. Despite trying to keep their intentions clear and emotions checked when opening the doors, Jason 1 and Amanda keep finding themselves in uninhabitable worlds. Before we get to any of that, end quote, before we get to any of that, any thoughts on the whole Blair thing? I thought this is pretty cool as an idea of you get to this world and one of the box pilots is so traumatized that they don't even want to go into the box again. We've seen these guys, they can't get enough of the box. But you can imagine a scenario where you go in the box, you're like, I never want to go in there. That was so horrifying because many of the doors you open are probably horrible, right? And so it's you can imagine not even wanting to touch it again. You know what I'm saying?
And it's implied that as bad as she's staying in Wasp World because it was the better of other options. She hands over as they're leaving. Here's box notes. Some of it's pretty grim. And I think the idea that she's so traumatized from her experience in the corridor, she made it to Wasp World and was like, this is fine. I mean, it's not fine, but I'm going to make Wasp World work. I'm stuck in an empty, I'm stuck in a warehouse with a scientific facility with tons of resources. It's lonely. But have you seen the wasps? I've
got my MREs. I got my little pot with hot water that I cook my MREs in.
And
meals
also,
ready to eat. Yeah.
As bad as those wasps are, I've opened doors with worse. It's fun because the show strikes a balance between showing us different worlds and manifestations of emotional states and how that results in the box interpreting some form of reality. But we have different characters like Blair who we're just left to imagine what they might have seen, and that's a fun extension of the what if of the box.
By the way, I keep thinking about the game Arc Raiders when watching the show. I think Blair even used the word topside in this episode, which is Arc Raiders is a game where everyone is forced underground, a post-apocalyptic universe, and people go topside to raid and get supplies. And that's what Blair is doing in this universe. She's going topside, getting supplies, and then coming back down and staying
avoiding
there,
the swarm.
Avoiding the swarm. Anyway, so really cool idea, really well executed. I mean, I don't know that somebody who tried to be a lawyer would become one of the best engineers in the world, but
yeah, those are different skill sets, but it is fun. That is one of my favorite parts of the show is when a character gets to find out what a different version of themselves. The pause she gives on that is I thought the actor playing Blair, who we see very little of in this show, briefly at a dinner scene. I'm not sure we're gonna see Blair again. That feels like that is the goodbye to the Blair character potentially here. But I think
Amanda Brugel, by the way, Amanda Brugel is the actress who plays Blair.
She really sells it. I thought she does. For the fact that she doesn't have a ton of screen time, she really sells the sort of the stakes of not only how scary the box is, how much they do not know about how to tune the frequency of it to arrive at a place, but like just the fact that the term worldless is like a really good turn of phrase, like, because that really is true of Amanda. Like, she can't go back. I mean, she could. She would either be killed or put in jail. And so it's not like you couldn't go back to that world, but the options there are not great. And your options elsewhere are, to manifest as a ghost / hallucination to your mother who thinks you are dead.
Yeah, I like that Blair was looking out for Amanda. She's like, hey, you got to figure your shit out. Like, you can't. What is the plan here? What is the plan, Amanda? Like, when you get to the world, when you get to Jason 1's world, what are you going to do? So I'm glad that she's getting her thinking about that. Anyway, Amanda and Jason visit a world engulfed by a deadly plague where Charlie died and Daniela is dying, and then a world in which Jason is an incarcerated criminal. There, when Jason 1 calls his home, visits his home, Daniela calls the police, and he is assaulted by Charlie. End quote. So yeah, they visit Pandemic World, and this book was written in 2016. I believe it was published in 2016, and then the show came out a few years ago. But basically, what I'm trying to say is the book was written pre-pandemic. The show came out post-pandemic. And this pandemic storyline is in the book. So if you're wondering, why did they have a pandemic storyline in the show that came out after that is so upsetting and traumatizing? It's because it was in the book, and I guess they wanted to adapt it. And I have to say, I thought they did a pretty good job of it. Like, I think...
Is there any differences in, like, the book's depiction of how... Like, is there anything that you felt like is reflective of... Sure, it was in the book, but the world also just lived / living through a pandemic itself. Did any of it alter it to sort of, I don't know, have it hit differently for?
No, not really. In fact, some of the lines from the book are in the show, like about the. It's like, oh yeah, once it gets to the eyes, the final 8 hours are brutal. You better inject that morphine. Basically, that's all from the book. This time period in the book is very different, though. So this, they go and visit all these different worlds, and some of the worlds are different than what you see in the show, but the pandemic world is the same. And I will say that there's a big like action scene that happens in the pandemic world in the book, and that's not in the show. And I think they just chose to use that time in other ways. The whole Blair thing is not in the book at all. Like, Blair is not a character at all in the book, basically.
Interesting.
And so like that's all invented for the show, and I think it's really well done. It's like a really great addition. And other dialogue scenes and stuff are like invented for the show. So I think they just didn't like the pandemic world gets a huge amount of focus in the book, and I think they're just like, we want to focus on other things. Jason 2 at this point is like not a character at all in the book, and so it's like I like how they've decided to allocate their time. They spent a little more time in the pandemic world. I mean, the book is really kind of like the book equivalent of an action movie. It's just kind of like you're going from place to place and crazy stuff's happening. So this show, I think, is actually more thoughtful and emotional and cerebral than the book, which is it's usually the other way around. It's usually the book is more thoughtful because it has more time. But I'm enjoying the show interpretation a lot right now. I'll also say, Patrick, I thought like the way that this depicted Chicago was very haunting, like with all the red flags and everything like that. Yep. I thought that was like a really cool visual. But yeah, in the book, like they like can't just like drive out there because there's like a curfew. No one's supposed to go outside, and there's like paramilitary police forces everywhere. And in the show, they just like drive away and everything's fine. It's like, no, that doesn't, like in the book, it's all like locked down, right? And so there's a big action scene in the book as a result of that. But yeah, I mean, one of my frustrations with this episode, like I think this overall is a very good episode, but one of my frustrations is Jason 1 still seems very, very stupid sometimes. Like he goes, he like wanders into this pandemic world, and he's like, you gotta go save my wife. It's like, maybe consider the implications of like why there's no one around, and like think for a sec. Use your brain. You're supposed to be like this freaking genius scientist. Like maybe think for like 10 seconds about, and then like, oh, Daniela like starts screaming and calling 911. Maybe you didn't make it all the way home. Maybe this is a different Daniela than you remember.
Right.
And it takes him like a good like 3 minutes.
It takes
before
too
he
long.
Way too long. Basically, you and I would be much better box pilots than Jason, is what I'm saying. Right?
I'm booking it. Also, the knife.
The second your wife doesn't recognize you, that's when it's like, oh, hey, I got to get the F out of it. He's like, don't you understand? It's me, Daniela. What are you doing, dude? What are you doing?
I understand. Like, if he just books it, then he can't stick around long enough to reveal, what's the differentiating point? What's different about this Jason? Well, he's in jail because he committed some crime. Wouldn't be shocking to learn if that was, I don't know, was he physically abusive? Who knows what the situation is? But if he just turns around and leaves, maybe it's harder to explain that part. But I am with you. The virus one in particular bugged me. It's like, you have no connection to this person. Like, I mean, you do. It shares their face. It shares part of a shared history, but I don't know why you're yelling at these you don't have any idea what's going on with this virus, how it's transmitted. Like, it's just It's all it works in the moment, but the moment you have any distance from it, it falls apart and feels silly and undercuts an otherwise pretty intelligent character.
One thing that is cool about the show, though, is in this episode we see a lot of characters knowing other backstories of like dropping into people's lives, and then it's like, hey, remember that time we went to the mountains? And Amanda knows like what happened, like knows her mom and all this, even though she's dead in that universe. And so that's just like a cool concept of like, imagine there's a person who you don't know who they are, but they know everything about you because they know like a different version of you, and how that would play out. And I like seeing that there's different, like multiple different manifestations of that in this episode. So,
well, I think you get a little bit of, even though there's different Jasons, there's enough overlap that I think, like, I'll be curious if the show plays into this at all. But obviously, other Jason is with Amanda, but like over time, as they're spending time with one another,
you mean Jason 1 is with Amanda.
Jason 1 is with Amanda.
Yeah.
But what I mean is, like, he's not with her, like, emotionally, like in a relationship. He's physically with her, but not.
Yeah, that's right.
They're not together.
They're not together. Not a couple. Yeah.
But like, as we're going along, I'm not saying they're gonna hook up. Jason number 1 should maybe not make a habit of getting into sexual relations with a number of other people as he's piloting the box. But I do think you're starting to see why Jason 2 and Amanda were a thing. Like, there's enough there between Jason 1 and Jason number 2 that I feel like you're seeing a bit of the spark manifested as they spend time with one another and make each other laugh and get more comfortable with one another. It's like, what, some version of me wanted to hook up with you, so it's like, right.
Of course, there's
obviously
some chemistry,
gorgeous.
right?
So it's like, we get that part, but like everything else, like, you have to sort of see develop over time.
Right.
And it's to your point of, she knows everything about him, or a lot about him, but he doesn't know anything about her. And I'll be very curious to see where this show goes and whether it chooses, like, does eventually it become clear there is no going home? Like, you are worldless as well. And is the solution to that giving up on returning to that version of your reality? You found Amanda. Can you find a home for one another? I don't know, but I do think they've laid some groundwork for that being something to explore, depending on where things end up. But I do think the show wants to have some version of it can't have a super happy ending because there's a season 2, so there has to be. I wonder where it's all going between this trio of characters.
All I'll say is, Patrick, shit is about to pop off. That's all I'm going to say.
All right.
So, what else did I wanted to say about the Amanda thing? Oh yeah, there is like a great line in the book that is adapted for the show. I'm going to paraphrase it. It's basically when they're in the pandemic world, Jason 2 is like, I gotta help Daniela. Like, I gotta help my wife. That's my wife in there. And then Amanda basically says, that's not your wife. It's like a version of her, and you're not even. And if you go to her, you're not going to actually you see your actual wife. Like we're trying to get you back to your actual wife. If you like mess around with this wife, you're never going to see your actual wife again because you might die. And I thought that was kind of an interesting idea as well. So, okay, final sequence with the Jason one in this episode, right? Is they go to see Daniela, she pulls the knife on him. Charlie attacks him. You know it's a different universe because Charlie has different hair. You see,
Yeah.
And then they chase him out. And then Daniela says, "Hey, maybe there's one place we can go with someone I trust." And you quickly realize it's her mom's house in this world. Now, I quickly realized that they were speaking in Portuguese. Alice Braga is a Brazilian actress. And when they started speaking, I was like, I kind of recognize that Portuguese is quite different in intonation and grammar than Brazilian Portuguese, but I could recognize some phrases.
Because it's not captioned, right? That wasn't just me.
No, not captioned. As far as I could tell, not captioned. So I did run it through a translator to kind of try to like,
okay,
see if I can remember some things. But
I liked that stylistically. That
right.
I rewound to see if I had missed something. But then when she starts speaking English again, the captions kicked in again. I'm like, I do like sometimes when shows play with that. Like, obviously, you can look it up. You could probably find a translation. But for most audiences, you're just meant to react to the emotions of the actors.
And it's really well done. And then, of course, Alice Braga's character like explains to you afterwards what she was saying, kind of. But she didn't, like, there's a lot she didn't capture in her explanation, right? So essentially, by the way, one of the things that you hear her saying is tudo bem, which means all is well, basically. Like it's a common saying in Portuguese of people say tudo bem. Like it's like how you'd say like, how's it going? Basically, it's kind of like if you go, you say tudo bem, which means all is well, and then the response would then be tudo bem, all is well, all is well, all is well. That's like how it goes. And so you heard her, Alice Braga's character, Amanda, saying tudo bem, like everything's okay, like I'm okay. So I recognize that. At one point, the mom started saying Hail Mary, full of grace, I think, in Portuguese. And then Alice Braga explains, like, I understand I'm dead in this world. Like, I'm in a better place. Like, don't worry about, all this kind of stuff. And then the stuff that she says in the car. But I thought it was funny that they basically stole her mom's car afterwards, which was like, imagine you're that mom. Like, what would your version of events be? You see your dead daughter, and then your car is gone. It's like, what happened? Basically, I hope Amanda's mom got her car back. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, agreed.
Meanwhile, in Jason 1's world, Jason 2 reveals to Daniela that he quit his job and encourages her to do the same. She begins to feel left out of their marriage. To secure Leighton's funding, Jason 2 visits his own world to procure more ampules and learns that Jason 1 and Amanda escaped via the box. End quote. As the episode comes to an end, Jason 2 vows to seal the box. So
seems bad.
I thought this is. I actually think all this Jason 2. By the way, one other thing I wanted to add. I've already mentioned in the book, Amanda and Jason 1 are not in a relationship. So, or Jason 2 are not in a relationship. I should say. And so all this relationship stuff is added for the show. I think it's a great addition. I think it gives a lot more meaning to all their interactions. Adds more like emotional stakes. Give it some will there, won't they frisson as well. I think it's a great decision. All right. But yeah, Jason 2 in Jason 1's world, the stuff where he's like teaching Leighton how to pilot the box and all that stuff. I thought that was all like pretty cool stuff. I think the like $1 million per ampule is a little bit, I'm just going to say low. I think it should be more than that. This is like basically a priceless item. But other than that, I thought all this stuff was really cool. What do you think, Patrick?
It feels like we're like, I'm going to train you. And then I'm going to give you some ampules, and then I'm going to go away.
Yeah.
Like, then really, well, I guess he's like, you have to leave this world. You can you can have the ampules, but I'm sealing up the box. You can go in it.
Right.
You have to go resettle in a different world. That seems
and Patrick,
setting him up for failure. That does not seem.
Beyond that, Patrick, I mean, if there's one thing that's true about the show, it's that Jason 2 is crushing it, living Jason 1's life, right?
Yes.
And so why wouldn't he want to make that permanent? Do you know what I mean? Like,
and by all accounts, this has happened over the course of what? 48 hours?
like, not that long, right?
Less than
like
a week, right?
A week.
Time is not, they don't give us a great sense of how much day and night is passing. But yes, I would say a week at most.
In the book, I think the ampules last like an hour or a few hours, like measured in hours. And in the book, they have like a count. You're basically following Jason and Amanda the whole time. You're like not even paying attention to Jason 2. And they have a countdown of like 44 ampules remaining, like 32 ampules remaining. You know, like the ampules are counting down. And so you can imagine it's like days, a couple weeks. I don't think it's months yet. You know what I'm saying?
We definitely don't have, at least as far as I can tell in the show, they're definitely setting the stage for the ampules being very difficult to produce. Like he goes back to get a backpack. There's 2 backpacks. So presumably there's another set of 50 that are still in Jason 2's world. But I don't think this is something that they're just like 3D printing in the lab or anything like that.
I mean,
like,
in the show, it's Ryan Holder that helped to design. Ryan Holder in Jason 2's world helped to design the ampules.
And he might be dead.
Right. That's right. So maybe
now we don't see a body. And obviously, maybe he still comes into play.
Right.
I'd love it if somehow they get him back to Jason 1's world and he can pass on his information to other
right. But it's interesting that like Jason 1's world like seemingly has no source of ampules at all, basically.
Right.
So, I thought rewatching it again, I was like, maybe Jason 2 is gonna like take all the billions of dollars and like hire Ryan again. This time, the Ryan who's won the Pavia Prize and get him to do the, but he, literally I had the thought, I was like, maybe he gets Ryan to do it for him. And then it's like, oh no, he just steals it because he's a freaking dick, like.
I also love this. The show tries to nip in the bud. Why wouldn't you just go rob a bank or like steal money in other worlds and bring it back?
Awesome.
And like, I was like, yeah, actually, that makes a ton of sense.
You
could probably get away with small amounts of money, but anything amassing true wealth seems like eventually would draw attention to yourself.
Yeah. I also really like how Jason 2 behaves when he returns to Jason 2's world. Like he goes, somebody's like reading a book, the alarm lights up. He goes straight for the ampules, and then like the woman comes out, she's like, Jason, Dr. Desson, what's going on? And he like literally just doesn't say shit. He's just not saying anything. He's like, I'm going back. Like, I don't even want to be here. Shouldn't even be here. I'm going back now.
Hope there's more ampules there when I come back,
Any other thoughts on this episode? I did kind of want to ask you, let's say you were a box pilot. Is there any world that you would want to travel to? They do like define the rules in this episode fairly well. It's like worlds that are adjacent to ours. It's not the entire multiverse. It's just worlds where like something slightly different happened in the recent past. That's where you can go.
Yeah, the one that immediately comes to mind, I think this would be dangerous because you'd want to. I don't know what all the other ripple effects are, but like my dad passes of a heart attack, like I don't know, like 13, 14 years ago, and so never got to meet my kids or anything.
Right.
I presume there's a world where things go slightly different with that, and that a lot of things in my life are probably rippled differently. But I presumably am still with my wife, and we eventually have kids, and I'd love a peek into like that world. But that's like so seductive. Like I really like my life.
A world where your dad was alive and got to meet your kids, basically.
Yeah. Like would love to see what he was like. Like, would my dad have been a Trump supporter? I don't think so, but like I don't know. Maybe I don't want to know that.
Imagine, right? Like, imagine
that might be one of those twists. Is like my dad got Fox News, like, it's like he's great grandpa, but oh my god, do not bring up politics with him.
Gee, yeah, it's like wow, that's such a double-edged sword, right? Like,
yeah,
it's like
maybe that would get me back in the box. It's like this was nice.
Well,
would have been nice, but then I got to go into the box again and be like, okay, but like, I don't know, somehow my dad becomes a liberal. He's incited for January 6th, turns him around. Like, I don't know. Like, I go back into, I can find my dad has to not die of a heart attack, but also not get destroyed. I have no evidence that my dad would have been like, I'm just giving an example.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to think of the monkey. Right. I'm trying to think of the monkey paw curling in a way. And so that's emotionally, that is the one that I thought of as I'd love to get a peek into a world like that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Those wouldn't be my kids. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think the two children I have now would highly unlikely that they're those kids, because my dad dying is such a defining moment that changes when we move back from California, like a whole bunch of things. So I'd go, and I guess this is how I'd be okay with leaving, is like, I'd go, my dad gets to be a grandpa, but like, those aren't my kids, bro.
Right. Like because you altered your circumstances.
Right.
Like the manner and the timing and whatever in which you had your kids would have changed.
Right.
And then they wouldn't be the same people.
Yeah, he died before my wedding. He died like well before kids. Right. So as I think through the scenario, it's like, those wouldn't be the two kids I have now. So then do I really want to see my dad with two different kids?
Two different kids? If it even is two,
Right. I got 6. I got to get out of here. Right. That's not... I wanted 3. We ended up with 2, and we said we're okay. So I guess not, like, when you start to think that, again, the fun what if.
It's so interesting to think about, and that's like what the show allows you to kind of explore a little bit. I think.
Now, you know what? Not matter. I don't think I want. I'd have to dial in a world,
right,
where I still somehow end up with the same 2 children, but also my dad's alive. Like, and I don't know that. Jason, we're gonna have a talk. Like, what emotional state do I need to be in to make that one happen?
Well, I think the show is actually really clever about a lot of these things. Like, for instance, the world where Daniela is like wanting to kill him because he's an ex-con. That event happens after they have their kid, right? So it's like, then the kid would still be the same, right? Like, it's overall fairly internally consistent with like. Yeah. If like one event changed and that led to like all this ripple stuff.
Okay, what about you?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I am very fortunate. I have not experienced like, family tragedy or death, and like don't have like that to go back to. But yeah, for me, like if I could visit a different world, I honestly.
Hillary Clinton wins.
It literally would be less about like, I wish I'd taken that job, and more like the world is fundamentally different somehow.
The bullet doesn't miss.
I don't know what you're referring to on that.
I'm just saying words.
I think you're referring to the bullet that was shot at Ronald Reagan decades ago.
Yes,
that's the one you're referring to.
Nailed it. But it's all stuff like that would be fascinating if you could dial in like different political moments and just get a peek into an alternate reality of like how they're
doing
out.
Very little of that on the show, like,
to be fair, like I get it, but because it sticks with the emotional grounding as opposed to if it was a late 90s Fox sci-fi show, you would probably get more alternate reality goofy what ifs with politics or things of that nature.
I actually think if Hillary Clinton won question is quite interesting.
That's because I have no idea what the political landscape looks like.
Well, for one thing, Donald Trump appointed 3 Supreme Court justices.
Yeah. Yes.
During that time, and it's like, I really think like that alone, put aside literally everything else he's done, like everything else he's done, just that one thing has reverberated so greatly through our society in such a profound fashion.
Right, because I think if she gets elected, she's almost immediately unpopular, gets destroyed in the midterms like 2 years later, doesn't accomplish very, very much like in Congress, but those Supreme Court seats alone,
they're going to last decades. Doesn't matter.
Hold the line on so many.
Roe v. Wade wouldn't have been overturned. There's so many things that would have changed if that alone. So that's kind of what I would be more interested in exploring. Less of like I wish I'd got to spend more time with so and so, and more like, what if this one thing, like what if this one decision that was made collectively and then made again several years later didn't go that way.
Damn it.
If only we could have seen it coming. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. We were given all the information. All right. Before I close today, couple of comments at youtube.com/@decodingtv, where we're posting all of our conversations about Dark Matter. Noah's Arcane writes, the audiobook for Peck's A Short Stay in Hell is a good performance. Worth a listen if you're a sicko like me who likes to oscillate between word and voice. Sergey Burbank is the reader. He's a playwright and quite active on Blue Sky. This is regards to the book you recommended last week, Patrick Klepek.
Yeah.
A Short Stay in Hell. I will be honest, Patrick Klepek, this has been an extremely busy week for me. We're banking this episode early. Basically, what happened was, coincidentally, both Patrick Klepek and my two co-hosts on the Filmcast decided to take vacations next week. And so as a result, we wanted to bank all of next week's episode in advance. So I needed to record basically 2 weeks worth of episodes in 1 week. And that's why this is recorded early.
Got to work more to work less, David.
Yeah, yes, so true. And because that was so intense, I resorted to buying the audiobook of Dark Matter so I could listen to it while driving to things, because I had so little time to actually like read and do the preparation for this podcast. But I have now become one of those sickos. So Amazon offers this thing where you can buy the audiobook and then play the audiobook on Audible and then read along with the Kindle version of the book. Have you ever done, like, it literally, like, you can see the text on your screen and it like highlights the word that it's on, which I think is kind of cool.
Can you listen to it and then it'll sync your Kindle up with where you were reading? So
Correct.
like rather than doing it concurrently, you can do it wholly separate. Gotcha.
That's right. So pretty cool feature. And if you're in a hurry, and like I was listening to the book at like 1.8 speed, to get through it.
What's your standard?
It honestly usually is around 1.25 on Audible specifically, because usually I listen to podcasts at normal speed.
Okay.
But
podcast,
on Audible,
I'm like 1.2, 1.25.
On Audible, often the readers the narrators read very slowly. The voice they read like, because they want to appeal to like a wide swath. So they like people who like it slow, people who like it fast. So I find it to be in general too slow for me, and so I speed it up a little bit. But anyway, just wanted to talk a little bit about switching between word and voice, and this is something that I have started doing now with Dark Matter, just because I ran out of time this week. Josh's Bookish Voyage writes into youtube.com/@decodingtv. I'm really enjoying this rewatch. Thanks, Josh. I've read the book several times and I watched the show once before now. I've always been very critical of this book as being extremely pop fiction style, end quote. And yeah, Patrick, reading the book, it is pretty pop fiction. It's like, as I said, it's kind of like an action film version of a book. It's kind of very actiony, very dialogue heavy, not very many like pages of metaphors and thinking of things and whatever. It's just very like, here's what's happening, and some really great efficient prose to get us through it. Josh continues, I felt very similarly about the show in my first watch, but I've come to appreciate it more upon rewatching it with y'all's commentary. Even the issues I had with it don't stick out as strongly, such as how deeply it engages with certain ideas. Another big issue I had was how it dealt with identity, things that the Jasons are willing to do. It may not be him, but I think there's an argument to be made about the balance of nature versus nurture and defining who we are, that this work could handle better. Again, I think it does a better job than I remember upon rewatch, but I would personally struggle more to dismiss the role of nature when reckoning with the actions of the Jasons if he were my partner. I recognize that is ultimately very subjective, however, end quote. I think what Josh is talking about here is, right, that like Amanda does some work in justifying Jason's 2's actions, right? She says, hey, the only way he'd do this is if he convinced himself he was doing something good. That's what she said last episode. And the idea that Jason 2 is doing like these monstrous things, right? Like kidnapping this dude and ripping him away from his family and then like sealing up the box so he can't make it home to his family, all these horrible things. And the show so far has not really reckoned with the idea of is it because Jason is inherently evil, or is it because of the way he was raised, or because of the decisions he made? Like, the show hasn't really reckoned with it, and Josh's contention is he doesn't think it really ultimately does reckon with it. But yeah, is that something that has stuck out to you at all, Patrick Klepek? I'm curious, like, what your reaction to that is.
Yeah, my suspicion is the show is not going to reckon with that. Mostly because it feels like the stakes are just going to get so big that I'd be surprised if they were spending a ton of time. I wish they would. It's something I'm thinking about, but the show, there's no brush past it is unfair because there's characters don't have the knowledge to understand what has occurred to them. But I suspect discovering that it's like if at some point you discover your husband was time kidnapped, it's not that at some point when you talk to your time therapist that you might fully realize what occurred to you, it was inflicted upon you, but it's probably not going to be the first thing that comes to mind. And I suspect the show is not necessarily going to indulge in it either.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you so much. What'd you say?
He said the we'll see. He says
yes,
knowingly.
Yes. Honestly, some of it, I watched this show like 2 years ago, so some of it is like I don't even really remember it. I'm kind of like remembering it as I'm watching it with you. So, and I'm reading the book as I'm watching it with you too. So I don't have that much advanced information. But anyway, that has been another conversation about Dark Matter season 1. This week we talked about episode 5. Sorry, episode 5. Mm-hmm. Next week we'll be talking about Dark Matter season 1, episode 6. It's about to get real, baby. Looking forward to it. Until then, he's Patrick Klepek. I'm David Chen. We'll see you later. Goodbye. Hey everyone, David Chen here. Thank you so much for watching that video from Decoding TV. If you want to get an audio version of the show, all you got to do is go to podcast.decodingtv.com. And if you want to support what we do, get ad-free episodes of the podcast and also bonus episodes of the podcast, go to decodingtv.com and become a paid member. Of course, you can also like and subscribe for more. We appreciate it. Thanks. See you later.